right, ladies and gentlemen, anybody who may be watching this, people of the internet, welcome to the latest edition of the Patriots Only Please podcast. I am your co-host, Jeff.
Mr. Soli.
Yes, Mr. Soli, good to see you again. And we are coming to you virtually. So we're getting all this virtual technology dialed in so we can churn these out faster. But yeah, man, there is a lot to talk about. There was a rather interesting weekend that obviously, thank God, didn't end up any worse than it did. Although with, prayers go out definitely to those the individual who was lost and his family. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And then right now, as we speak, the RNC, we're in day one of the RNC convention, where Trump has already made the announcement, at least virtually through social, about his VP pick, the long-awaited VP pick. And the timing honestly couldn't have been better, given the fact that we almost lost the man on Saturday, right? So today's Monday, so on Saturday,
J13. Yep.
Yeah,
July
yeah.
13th.
So a day that will live in infamy. I would say the second shot heard around the world. I mean, really, again, thank God it didn't go the other way. But yeah, let's unpack that. I was certainly quite. I mean, I think about what could have happened, not just to him, but what could have happened to our country, and what would be going on right now if things went in the other direction. So again, yeah, I'd love to get your take on it.
Well, Trump needs to name a successor. They need to have somebody in the wings. I'm sure they're working on that. I'm sure that's now a priority. Trump's a patriot. He loves the country. He realizes there's no replacing him, but there needs to be some kind of infrastructure on the back end now to make sure if something were to happen that we've got that covered. He wants America first. He wants the country to move forward. He knows the Democrats aren't going to deliver that. So I'm sure naming J.D. Vance today, first day of the convention, is the first step toward solidifying some kind of, we have a plan just in case. But in terms of the event itself and the way that it went down, very disturbing, lack of shame on the Secret Service. They did a very piss poor job. Everyone now, experts around the world have weighed in since Saturday. I think it's good that we waited a couple of days for the shift through the ashes and see exactly what happened and what didn't happen. And there was definitely a failure of communication and execution on the part of the Secret Service in properly securing the area. It wasn't not a very big space. There were only about 8 or 9 rooftops in the entire perimeter. They were all just not manned, not protected, which is very, very strange this deep in an election cycle for a president. It's usually about 300 yards perimeter. Everything's just battened down the hatches. No possibility of someone popping out of somewhere. They got it locked down. This was the exact opposite of that. This 20-year-old kid, he carried a ladder, a 20-foot ladder, put it on the side of a building with a high-powered rifle on his shoulder, climbed up the ladder over the sight line of where, 125 yards straight shot to Trump, and positioned himself and got off 5 rounds, man. That's really not good if you're in that business. If that's your job, you should lose your job.
Yep, and that rolls uphill, because I mean it's pretty well known that our current head of the Secret Service has not been necessarily friendly to obviously to Trump and also RFK. So you'll also notice that Trump came out today, and demanded that RFK finally, especially given his family's history. My God, JFK, the most famous political assassination in this country's history outside of Abraham Lincoln. But yeah, so, and then his own father. So RFK definitely needs to be protected.
It's incredible. I listened to JFK's interview today with a Fox News reporter, and it was really telling, because if you remember that time in our history, I mean, Martin Luther King Jr. had been killed 2 months before John Kennedy was. And then John Kennedy's brother, RFK's, Robert Kennedy's uncle got killed a year later or so. And just so you know this, I didn't know this, but RFK mentioned this in his interview. The day that Robert Kennedy arrived in Dallas to give his speech, there were posters, physical posters printed all over the place, wanted dead or alive, with his picture on them. That was the temperature back then. And we're getting close to that now. So that's not good. They didn't have the internet. They couldn't connect as well as we can. Now we can, flash mob. We can get people rallied up pretty quickly, get people to do things pretty fast. So unfortunately, we have a failure in chief in Joe Biden that can't really muster any sort of anything in terms of some national sentiment to cool the things down. He's part of the people that are ramping it up. The left, it's his team that's the one that's been ramping it up since 2016, especially against Trump. So shame on them for that. It's kind of upon us to be the party of law and order and say, hey, guys, unity, peace. Let's let this motivate us to unite the right, but not to act out in violence in any way. As you can see, we mentioned before in our previous conversation, no riots, no looting, no attacking the police. We don't do that. That's what the left does.
Yeah. And it's quite telling, because had this gone the other way, look, I hate to think about what the conversation we could be having, but what would our side be doing right now? What would the country be doing right now if but to your point, even with what did happen, we're not out in the streets, we're not looting, we're not burning down cities. You know what I mean?
Nope.
And so on the one hand, you have the political class, Joe Biden, and actually everybody on all sides right now, who I think rightly are calling for, okay, listen, let's dial down the rhetoric a little bit. Let's lower the temperature. And I get it. I agree with that. But at the same time, you can't deny the fact that the other side, well, look, all sides have been really playing this up and agitating this for years and years and years. You cannot call your primary political opponent Hitler for 8 years, 9 years, and try to sue him into oblivion, throw him in prison, accuse his followers of being the most existential threat to our democracy, convince, have the mainstream media, say that democracy is going to end, the Constitution is going to end, without somebody somewhere in an entire country of people that's going to take a shot. So in that respect, okay, sure, you could make the argument, okay, maybe the gunman acted alone, which I hardly, who knows, the jury's out on that one. But even then, they've agitated the climate of that would cause somebody to even do that. And notice it hasn't happened on our side.
I completely agree. I completely agree that the left's been complicit in this for a long time. They're still sort of, it's terrible. And what, just as a quick aside, if I may, something kind of near and dear to my heart is mental health issues in our country. And there's an incredible lack of providers for mental health patients around this country. It's a travesty, really. I hope when Trump gets back in office, he makes that a priority. But like the fact that a 20-year-old kid could get this right, he threw his life away and ended his life for what? So whatever was going on in his head, he thought the right thing to do was to execute this person and fire into a crowd of innocent people. So he was obviously not well mentally. And he's a 20-year-old kid living with his parents. Couldn't someone have saw some red flags here? I can't imagine that's an isolated incident, right? That kind of erratic, crazy behavior. So I hope that one thing that comes out of this is we say, maybe we should pay more attention to people that are acting really crazy and really call somebody, get some help, speak out, take him to a doctor. But this family's son, 20-year-old son, took his dad's rifle and shot at the president of the United States and killed some people and hurt some people. And that's terrible. So I can't imagine that came out of nowhere. And maybe that needs to be another discussion down the road once things settle a little bit, how important mental health really is. Someone that young can be that sick and no one noticed it, maybe? I don't know, but that's bad. And it's scary for the next generation, for our kids. And incidents like this with this much national and international impact can be a great springboard into talking about some other issues like that. Mental health treatment, things like that. This kid obviously needs some help.
Sure, absolutely. And
at 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And look, and this is the same conversation that comes up anytime there's any kind of a school shooting or any, mass,
Sure.
violence that happens like this. And
Right.
we always, but the problem is anytime our side tries to bring up, the other side immediately goes straight to gun control, and then, but in our side, well,
Yeah.
let's not overlook the massive mental health epidemic and crisis in our country, let alone the world. But, and we're villainized for even daring to bring that up. It's all about the guns. It has nothing to do with the actual person who's firing the gun. God forbid. But that's a whole other conversation. But
Right.
notice though, I mean, we're
Right.
talking about, just to kind of tie this back into the incidents, over the weekend, just
Of
the
course.
fact that
Yes.
you know we have anybody who had any doubts on whether Trump was really in this for, I mean, come on, clearly the man is not in this for his own personal gain. I mean, I can't
No.
look, nobody's a saint, but let's be honest. The guy has been, I mean, look, if he went away, all of this stuff would go away, the lawsuits would go away, all this stuff, and nobody'd be shooting at him. I mean, my God,
Nope.
that's at this point, I think the left, I don't want, I don't agree with all the people that says, oh, it's going to be a landslide. The election's over. I don't want to get,
No. No.
you know what I mean? I don't want to get lazy,
Right.
but
Right.
it's going to
No.
be pretty hard to beat this. You know what I mean? Come on, without
It's
cheating.
going to galvanize the right in a way nothing else would have. Um,
Mhm.
and that's good. And that's good for us. And it's going to galvanize people, I think, who are in the middle and still kind of undecided. Hopefully it'll get some people to register to vote that need to, that haven't. You can't wish yourself to vote. Your vote is your voice, guys. If
Mhm.
you're watching this podcast, if you're on our side or thinking about voting for Trump, but you're not registered to vote, you have to register to vote. Please
Mhm.
do it now. Why wait? Do it today. Hop
Yep.
online with 10 minutes of your time and you're ready to go. So please
Yep.
let this be a clarion call to vote and to get registered to vote in your respective states. And let's come out in big numbers, too big to rig, all that stuff.
Mhm.
We believe in all that. I don't think the Democrats are going to lay down. They're going to fight to the end. If Biden's their candidate, it's looking real good for us. But we got to get Trump to November 5th safely. So
Well, and
that's the
yeah,
priority now should be safety, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I've been hearing, across the spectrum as well. Like at this point, there's no real reason at this point to switch Biden out. I mean, everybody knows that he's compromised mentally,
He's toast.
and
He's
yeah,
toast.
and in other ways. So, at this point, Trump has got the momentum. I mean, my God, they tried to kill him. I mean, say what you will about divine intervention. I'm not the most religious guy in the world, but I will say that, I mean, nothing nothing's taken him down yet. I'd like to think there's a reason
Yeah.
for that.
It's miraculous. It's miraculous he was able to survive that. And think about
Mhm.
this. I just thought about this now when you said that about Biden and trying to switch him out. Any candidate they would switch out to put in Biden's place, all Trump would have to say is, "You knew he was senile the whole time. You knew he was
Mhm.
senile,
Yeah.
right?" I mean,
Yeah.
there you go. That's the entire debate. That's whatever. Like you knew this person was unfit to serve, and you said he was, and you lied. You're a
Yeah.
liar. Anything else you
Yeah.
say is lies. You're a liar.
Yeah.
Done. What are people going to
Yeah.
say? Well, I thought he was okay. No, you didn't. You knew he couldn't do the job. You kept saying he did. You could. You lied to the American people. You lied to your own constituents. You lied to the country. You lied to the world. You're a liar.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
Crooked, whoever their
Absolutely.
name is. That's that. It's the truth. And the whole world.
Mhm.
This time, it's not just Trump giving people goofy names. He's saying the truth out loud that everyone knows is true.
Mhm.
They knew
Mhm.
Biden was sick. They knew he had dementia. They knew that he was unfit to serve, and they pretended that he wasn't. Shame on
Yeah.
them, and shame on anyone that would try to fill his shoes right now, because that's what I would hurl at them nonstop.
Absolutely.
Did you tie his shoes
Absolutely.
for him? How bad? How bad? You know what I mean? Helping him button up his pants, or
Yeah.
break. Sorry.
It's no, I'm right
Yeah.
there with you. I'm right there with you. Well, I am glad that Trump finally named his VP, because again, we it's now that the genie's kind of out of the bottle at this point. Now, I mean,
Yes.
it's maybe only a matter of time before somebody tries to
Yep.
take a second shot at him. So there's going to have to be this infrastructure in place now. So, hopefully hopefully we don't see anything like that
Yeah.
again. But to your point, man, I think at this, At this point, the only thing they got to do is just keep Trump alive, get him to the election, and and Biden. They just might as well just keep Biden in there. But the fact that it had to even come to this, but none of us. This isn't a surprise, which brings
No.
like how the guy could even get to that point. You know what I mean? I just how the guy could even get to the roof. I have no. How did they even let that happen? It is a gross injustice.
Uh,
It's a dereliction of duty all across the
well,
board.
right. What the gentleman, there's the gentleman with the Trump hat who they interviewed, the English journalist who interviewed the gentleman who saw the whole thing, was on a rooftop two rooftops away, who tried to notify who told the police, was waving at the Secret Service. He said, this is not a very big place. There's only like 7 or 8 rooftops in the entire county. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how hard would it have been to put snipers on each one? I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
This is basic. This is basic. This is a high stakes. There's no higher level than this. Like, you don't call in the B team to protect a former president at a big rally outside. You call in the A team and you have everything locked down. That's basic. Any country, come on. So it was just completely unprotected.
Yep. And speaking of B team, I mean, let's talk about now. Look, I don't want to disparage anybody who's going to put themselves in harm's way to protect someone else. First off, but I will say that it appears that there were some people that were on that job that day who might not have been the most qualified, just based on, not based on gender, not based
Right.
on that, but just based on their performance. I don't care if you're black, white, orange, purple, green, yellow, male, female, whatever, combination, whatever. As long as you're good at that job, great. As long as your job is to protect the president, fantastic, which is what they did. But I will say I did see some footage of people fumbling and maybe not really knowing what to do. And again, all of that rolls back uphill to the director of the Secret
Not
Service.
holstering their weapons. There's all kind of yeah. Well, that was Trump's. I mean, one of the best barbs that Trump levied at Biden during the debate. If Biden understood it, I'm not sure, but was that he never fires anybody. He never fires anyone. He's like, listen, man, someone needs to get fired for this. This is too big of a screw up. Your only job is to protect this guy. That's it. 24/7, protect this guy. Your only job. And you screw that up. So someone needs to get fired. I mean, you need to show the public that there's consequences for being bad at your job. You put this guy's life at risk. Someone has to go, man. It probably won't happen. If Trump were the president, someone would already be fired.
Of course.
Rightfully so. So
and you gotta wonder, and you gotta wonder, without getting too conspiratorial about it, but I mean, look, it's been well documented now and well reported that Biden, on a call to his donors, said we got to put Trump in our bullseye. I mean, look, okay, great. Coincidence? Whatever. I mean, the fact that the Secret Service, who knows how to handle these types of security operations, didn't think to put somebody on a building that was just a few hundred yards, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't add up.
125 yards, 125 yards. That's not that far.
Mm.
It's a football field, man. For a high-powered rifle, that's not hard. It's a disgrace. So we move forward. They've set up security for the convention. The director has come out and said we're going to beef up security moving forward. I think as a reminder to everyone moving forward, I really think Trump should have one of those 360 bulletproof things the Pope-mobile's got. I mean, I know it'll look funky, but it'll also be a constant reminder of the failure of those folks on J13 and of the need to protect this guy. I mean, I'm sorry if it looks funky. As long as you can see him and hear him, I'd rather he be safe than be exposed.
Yeah. Hey, listen, Barack had the shield around him on his inauguration, or on his when they gave his victory speech. So on election night. So, I mean, if that's what it's going to take to protect Trump, but again, I'm amazed at just. I mean, call it divine intervention. I mean, I don't really know what else to call it. I mean, and the fact that in the face of almost, dying, right? Becoming like
Yeah.
a centimeter within his life ending, his first thought is to get up and face the crowd and, and show them he's okay and tell everybody to keep fighting. I mean, that,
Fight.
what does that say about this candidate? I mean, that is about as iconic as, as it gets. I mean,
As it
it's,
gets.
to
And
me,
it wasn't
it's,
it wasn't a Hollywood moment. It
mhm,
wasn't staged. That was a real thing, and it was a real thing. And also, think about this: in the same way that Biden being senile and mumbling and weak, and our adversaries seeing that, our adversaries saw Trump's response to being shot at, like,
mhm,
holy shit, if this guy gets back in, there's no more effing around here. You know,
mhm, mhm.
the
So I
world,
hope,
our adversaries want Biden to win really badly.
yeah,
You
of
know,
course, and I really hope enough people in this country turn out that realize that there's
yeah,
so much that hangs in the balance, that people don't understand. I mean, everybody's caught up in, abortion and women's rights and things that ultimately have been settled at the state level for years, and we can have those arguments, but we're talking about an administration that's taking us to the brink of World War III for the first time in decades, in generations,
yep,
and
yep.
because either because of incompetence or through, on purpose, but still
Corruption.
it's, yeah,
Yep.
corruption, and I mean all of it. So, and say what you will about Donald Trump, but I think the man has proven that he is the leader that this country needs right now. So,
Just think
thank
about
God
what
he's still
Iran
here.
did.
Hmm.
Yeah, think about what Iran did with the hostages, and Biden gave them what, $8 billion a hostage. Well, there's still 8 American hostages being held in Gaza right now since October 7th. When you
Hmm.
and I were kids, and Jimmy Carter, the whole Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan got elected because Carter couldn't get the hostages out of Iran in time. He's the liberal media is giving Joe Biden a complete pass on this. No one even
Yeah.
talks about it. There's 8 Americans that are living in probably a cage, a dog kennel, since October 7th. What's the plan? What's the
Hmm.
plan, Mr. Biden? What's the
Yeah.
plan, Secretary of Defense? Are they coming home? There's over 100 hostages still, 8 of whom are Americans. Shame
Yeah.
on every country for not joining together and going in there and getting their people out. Come on, October
Yeah.
7th? Are you kidding
It,
me?
it's yeah.
That
It's
alone should get a president to lose. And no one talks about it. No one goes after him for it. Every single day they should read their names. They should open every press meeting every day with reading the names of the folks who are still being held hostage in God. Can you imagine living
yeah.
conditions they're in right now? Can you
Yeah.
imagine what they're being
Absolutely.
subjected to? Talk about mental health
Absolutely.
damage. Jesus Christ, man.
Of course. Of course.
Come
Of
on.
course.
Oh,
So,
and Biden just, it's not even a talking point. No one even talks
yeah.
about it.
Yep. Absolutely. No,
How
you're
can,
a thousand
how can you
percent
be,
correct.
how can, you be, how can the media, how can you be a member of the mainstream media and not make that a weekly, at least weekly, like they're still locked up. They're still living in
Mhm.
hell. What are we doing about it? What's the plan? Is there an exit strategy here? What are we doing?
I know, because they're too busy going after Donald Trump. So,
Exactly.
that's the
Exactly.
problem. And that's the problem. So I think, look, I don't think we're going to say anything that hasn't been said before by, in every media outlet and every expert, and pundit on the scene right now. But just thank God, he's okay. And
Yeah.
definitely, I know thoughts and prayers, be it, for what they're worth, but definitely will go out to the brave guy that gave his life to protect his wife and daughter from a bullet from an idiot foot, a monster firing into the crowd. I mean, just so so as much as we would like to think that, all right, election is sealed, don't get complacent,
No, no,
go
no,
out and
no, no.
vote. If anything, this should inspire people, everyone who's, on this side, to go out
Yep.
and walk over, go through hell to cast your vote
Yes.
in person, and bring at least 3 to 10 people with you, and really let's bring this home. Let's seriously bring this home. So just to wrap this up,
Okay.
look, thank God he's still with us. Don't get complacent. Everybody go out,
Yes.
vote, bring 10
No.
friends. If you have to, show up, walk over hell and high water, whatever you got to do, crawl over broken glass to cast that vote, because that is where the difference, that's what makes the difference. That's what moves the needle. Rallies and donations and everything is wonderful, but yes, it is meaningless if you don't go out and vote. So just keep that in mind. Thank God Trump is okay, and we send our thoughts, prayers, and money. There is a GoFundMe campaign going for the young man. Well, he was 50 years old, a father,
Oh, I didn't know
and
that. Okay. Thank you for
yeah,
telling me
who
that. I didn't know
lost his
that.
life. And he so yeah, so there is a GoFundMe that we hope maybe I can find the link. And if I can, I can maybe post that here. But definitely,
Please
others
do.
have
Yeah.
posted it, so contribute that and to contribute there. And yeah, let's keep fighting the fight. Let's do exactly what, as Trump said, fight, but we're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it at the ballot box, and we're going to bring
Peacefully.
this home in November. Final thoughts?
Yes, we are. That you wrapped it up fantastically, man. I couldn't say it better. Let's just keep fighting, guys, and just think, all politics is local. Wherever you're seeing this from in the United States, connect with other conservatives, connect with other Republicans, and vote. Register your friends to vote. Vote, and follow the convention if you can, and follow our podcast if you can. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And MAGA 2020,